Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Janelle Preston, and I'm here with,
My name is Kaylee Audison.
and I am the Learn the Signs Act Early Ambassador for the state of Utah.
And I am the director of Help Me Grow Utah.
So we're so excited that you've joined us today. We're going to talk to you a little bit about the Milestone Moments app from the Center for Disease Control. So the Center for Disease Control identifies that 1 in 6 children have a developmental delay or disability. These are things that may impair physical, learning, language, interactions, or behaviors. And they begin during the developmental period and may impact day-to-day functioning. They sometimes last throughout a person's lifetime. So what are some of the ways that we can help parents, caregivers, friends, and really anybody understand when to act early or to be concerned? And that is through developmental monitoring, which this app really helps with. We know that all children progress at their own pace, and some will reach the milestones slightly late or even earlier than others. But knowing when to act early is what this app really focuses on. So the difference between developmental monitoring and developmental screening. So the monitoring can happen at any point in time. In fact, you're probably already doing it. We all look at kids and we all look at and say, oh, look, they've reached that milestone. Check it off. And it's so exciting to celebrate that. I know that I do it with my nieces and nephews. And when my kids were younger, I would always check to make sure they were meeting those milestones. It also helps us identify when we should be concerned, or if we needed to act early, or if I'm thinking that my kids should be doing something that they're not even ready for. So if I'm thinking that my 3-year-old should be reading, maybe that's not something I should be completely worried about. And so it really helps us know when to identify those concerns. That's what developmental monitoring is. Developmental screening is done by a trained professional. So somebody that has a background in early education, like your early pediatrician, or if you go to Help Me Grow, those are professionals that have been trained in completing a developmental screening. We know that the American Academy of Pediatrics asks that we do developmental screenings at our well child visits. So this app that we are going to talk to you about reaches all of those milestones that you as a parent or you as a provider can talk to parents about supporting their children when they get these screenings. We know that when we do developmental monitoring and developmental screening together, our success rate is better with supports and services. So if you think about it, you as a parent probably know your child better than anyone else in the world. So if you are concerned, here's how to do some of those things. Make an appointment with your child's doctor. Complete that milestone checklist prior to your doctor's appointment, and then make sure you understand what your doctor tells you, and if there's a concern, what to do next. That is part of our job to continue to encourage parents to complete those milestone checklists, to have those conversations, and to be able to help them understand why a developmental concern might be needed. So the Milestone Tracker app, we're going to talk about that. And it's really a fun app for both providers and for families to use. It is a fun and interactive checklist. It's parent friendly or user friendly and easy to navigate. It does go through the checklist for ages 2 months to 5 years and provides a variety of photos and videos to help us as providers as well as parents to recognize and understand milestones, tips, and activities for supporting early development. It also has ways to share your progress with either providers or others that are working with our kids. So if you want to take a minute and just go ahead and download it, it's a fun and interactive way to track your child's development. You can get appointment reminders, more. We'll walk through a couple of examples. So if you want to download it, you can follow along with us on your app. Here's what the home screen looks like. You can track more than one child. You can track your appointments. You can update, get tips and activities. You can also get a quick view of what the milestones look like. This is just what a checklist would look like. So this 4-month-old reaches for a toy with one hand. What does that look like? Here is a baby doing that. Here are some of the important features. You can add multiple children. It will also go back and forth from English to Spanish. The milestone tracker tracks your child's developmental progress, and it's an interactive and illustrative checklist. It also will provide you notifications of when your child needs to complete the milestone. So I have it downloaded on my phone, and I, of course, put my kids' names and birth dates in as an example. So a few months ago, I got a notification and my daughter said, well, why do I need to do a checklist? Because it was around her birthday. Well, she's now 15. Yeah, she doesn't need to do a checklist, but she's whose birthday I can remember. And so and whose name I also can share pretty consistently. So she was on there, and it will still send me a checklist. And I think, oh, this is what you were doing back when you were 3 years old. So it's fun to use. It also tells you when appointments are. So even though my children are older, I still have to do their yearly check-in. So that reminder comes up on my phone. And I think, oh yeah, I need to do their doctor's appointment. So I still to this day use it for my teenagers. Then they also give you a result of your milestones, your child's milestones, to view and share with others. So I'm going to just pause for a minute, and I'm going to stop sharing. And we're going to just talk about how we might use this with a parent. So I'm going to introduce you to my parent, Miss Kaylee from Help Me Grow. So hi, how are you? Tell me about your kiddo.
Hi, Janelle. I have a little boy. His name is Alex. And he is fun-loving. He loves to jump around and run and has tons of energy. But I feel like those are the milestones I notice the most. So I'm kind of curious what else he should be doing and if there's other things that I can do and watch out for with him.
Yeah, isn't that such a great thing? So what I'm going to have you do is go ahead and pull up the CDC's milestone checklist on the, and you have an Android, right? So not an iPhone. Yes. So it's not in your app store. What is it called? It's called the...
I think when I downloaded it, I think it was just the CDC milestones.
Yeah, but So this is the fun thing is I'm an iPhone user. So I go to my app store. So you would go to it and it looks like you've already downloaded it, but you would go to it wherever you download your apps. And I just don't know non-iPhone users terminology. But so let's go ahead and just enter your child in there. And I love that you're already noticing some of the cool things that he's doing.
Okay.
And then of course we're going to enter his birthday because that's going to tell us what milestones and what checklist we're going to go.
Have to click back lots of months. Okay.
Okay. So now you have him in there. So you notice that he's 23 months. That doesn't always correlate with an age of, he's kind of in between those months of development, right? So it's going to go, you're going to click on that 23 months and it's going to bring you up the checklist. Right here, it's going to give you those notifications. So it's telling you right there that we're going to go over a checklist for a younger age because we're kind of in between. So we'll go through that and see where he's at. So go ahead and click OK.
Okay.
And then let's go up to this milestone checklist, the very top. Okay, here it is. So we're going to let's go through it together. Let's ask those questions.
Okay. It's really nice that it has a picture there so I can see a little bit about what it's asking as well.
Right. So then you can see what is it that I'm supposed to be looking for.
He is definitely very social. He loves to be around cousins and friends, and it's been a little hard lately.
I know COVID is really hard. The other thing that you can do, just since you noted that, is do you see where you can put notes down at the bottom?
Oh, yeah.
So you could go ahead and put any note that you wanted to make sure you talk to your doctor about. So I know, like I always think, oh, I need to make sure that I talk to my doctor about this. And then the doctor says, do you have any questions? And I go, nope. And I walk out of the doctor's office. So the notes can help us also remember any concerns or questions that we have. There you go. So make sure to ask your doctor about COVID social. So anytime you have a note or you just want to, remember some of the things that your kid did at certain ages, it also is a good track reminder for us.
Okay.
So, and then do you see right here, this one has that big red button.
And I think I have my sound turned off, so it won't share the audio, but
we can tell that this kid is protesting. So as a mom, you're not probably pretty excited that your child's protesting.
Yeah, that looks familiar.
That is a very appropriate developmental behavior. And so we want to see that that is happening. But anytime there is that video, not all of them have a video, all of them have a picture, but some of the more ones that are harder to kind of see or that we're not quite sure does have a video next to it. So you could, if you have any questions about that, click the video and it will also help you with that.
Okay. So for this one, he doesn't love to sit and read. He loves to be moving. So is this something I should be concerned about if I'm marking not yet, or just note it for now?
So when we get done, it's going to tell us those things that we should be concerned about, but there will also be some times where it does say some tips and activities, and then it will tell us some activities that we could do to encourage some of the developmental milestones that our children should be reaching. Just because our kid doesn't reach all of the milestones doesn't mean that we need to be overly concerned, but it is something that we may want to watch for. It's when we're missing a lot that maybe we want to go and get that support and extra screening, or even talk to other people about maybe early intervention, or where I should be kind of working on him in the next few months.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so when we get done, and then see right up at the top, it tells you your progress level. So
Yeah.
right now you're at 17 out of 26 questions. So, and you can also always come back. Like if you're like, I'm not sure if he kicks a ball, you could put what you think and then maybe go back and try it with your kiddo and say, oh yeah, he does do that. So then you can mark, yeah, he does. And he loves climbing on everything. Yeah. Don't little 2-year-old boys love to climb on everything. And lots of times when we're climbing, we're doing a lot of talking and babbling and using those descriptive words. So those are all really great things.
Okay.
And so then right here, this is where we could also identify any concerns that we have with it. If you scroll down, you can just click. So right here, see where it says loses skills he once had. So is if you were going through that and you're like, oh man, he used to kick a ball, but now he doesn't do that anymore. That's where you'd want to jot something down. But you could also just click done. And then you can see this is your response. So you had one milestone that you were concerned about. You had one that was not sure, 4 milestones that you've marked as not yet. So like on this one, this is the one that you've said not yet to.
Mm-hmm.
So you could, as you're in the next little while, try to do some of these activities and see if your kiddo is doing those. And then you can go up and edit that. Or if you're like, oh, gall, he really points to things in the room, not necessarily a book. So is that something? And you could jot that down.
Okay.
And then it will tell you which questions that you've had answered. And then if you go back up to the top where it says email, so you can click that email button and you can email it to, say, Help Me Grow, or to your home visitor, or if you want to send it to grandma and grandpa, you can also send it to grandma and grandpa, and it will just show their results with it. You can also send it to your pediatrician, so then your pediatrician has it beforehand as well, and it just tells you the things that he's doing and things that he is not doing.
Okay. So this show doctor button, is that's different than emailing it to my doctor? What does that mean?
So let's go ahead and click that one. So this one right here shows it in a way that we can then kind of talk to our doctor about those things. and I would think that, let's go down and see. I want to say you can email it to your doctor at this point in time. No, I don't know what the difference.
This does look like, just viewing it, this looks like it's a little bit easier to see everything just kind of in one spot. I do like here at the bottom where it tells me that I do know him best. I feel like I spend a lot of time with him, and so I feel like that's reassuring, just that little reminder there.
You do, and you do know what's best for your kiddo. And so that one could be definitely one that maybe you just pull up at your doctor's appointment, at your next well child. I mean, he's going to be, remind me how old your kiddo was again?
He'll be 2 in just a week or so.
Right, that's what I was thinking, but then I was like, no, he was the 9th of February. And that's today. So he would have been 2 today, but his birthday is when?
The 18th of February.
The 18th. So you should be having a well child visit coming up here soon. Do you already have that scheduled?
We do have it scheduled, yes.
So this could be definitely something that you take to your appointment and be able to share with your pediatrician on that.
Okay, that sounds great. Yeah, his appointment's next Friday.
Oh, yay. You are good. Hopefully, is there 2-year-old shots that you have to get?
I am not sure. I'll have to find out.
Yeah, hopefully not. If not, take him out for ice cream afterwards, right? And then if you also saw right down there where it says tips and activities. So remember when you asked me, like, is that something I should be really worried about?
Mm-hmm.
So this then gives you some ideas of how you can encourage some of those skills within that. So right there, where it says, it looks like the 3rd button down. Maybe he's a little bit more not paying attention. So look, we can really praise when he follows those instructions, or we can reinforce the times that he is actually sitting down and reading a book with us, rather than just getting so frustrated with him. Okay. So this has some really fun activities that you can do with your kiddo for this age.
Yeah, this is great. I always love more activities. It seems like his attention span is it's a 2-year-old attention span. So more ideas are great.
Yeah, it is. And then you can go ahead and click done. The other thing I guess I should have pointed that out before we click done, but you can also come to it right here. So see where it says those tips and activities, you could click on that and then it will take you right to that thing. Right to the page. But if you scroll down to the bottom, there are also some fun books that you could order or download right from CDC that takes you to those children's books.
Oh, fun.
And so he's almost 2, so I would recommend this Where's Bear one.
Okay.
And also on each of those pages, there's milestones that we can also practice on that. But that's just another fun way to encourage some of those ideas and continue to help you as a mom be able to identify any milestones.
That's really cool. I'll have to check that out.
And then, so let's go ahead and click done. And so then you can also go to that My Child's summary. And it will, we already looked at that. Sorry, I told you to go to the wrong one. Go to the milestone quick view.
Okay.
You know how your kids always, like when you're well, you don't have teenagers, but once in a while, when you have a teenager and you're trying to have them show you something on technology, they roll their eyes and are like, let me just do it. So when I don't know how to do something, I'm like, oh, hit that button. My motor memory. But so this is just a quick view of the milestones that he's going to be reaching here in the next little while. And so in each of the domains. So like by his second birthday, these are the milestones that he should be doing.
So I notice up here, it says checklist 2 years. Can I switch this if I was curious what milestones would be coming up like next year?
Yep, you certainly could. And there's all the milestones that should be happening before his third birthday.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, I know that you guys are thinking that you're probably going to want to have another kiddo here in a while. And so you can add more children to this. Or I know that you and your sister are pretty close. And so if your sister asked you some questions, you could also either one, have her download the app, but you could also add another child to your screen as well by clicking that children. Again, you have to go down to, yes, where you add a new child.
Okay.
And so you could add another child and put their birthday in, and it would give you another opportunity to do that. So I always love using it when you know, you have multiple children, or I use it during my home visits when a parent is asking me about their younger kiddo and I'm there working with Alex, and you know, maybe you had your baby and he's 3 months old, and so then I can just have quickly have you complete this app on that one. And then you can pick between your children.
Okay.
And like I said, then if on the appointments, so see down at the bottom where it says add an appointment, then you could add their well child checkup on there as well as any notes that you want to make sure that you talk about with your doctor.
Okay.
And then it's always in one place. I don't think let me double check, because I probably have not hit this info in a while. So why don't we go ahead and hit the info button? Let's see what that one does.
Okay.
Oh, so see, this is where you can change those notifications. So remember how I told you that I have it in there for my kids? I think I have the milestone notification up there. And so it tells me when I'm supposed to complete a new checklist or when I'm supposed to do some of that other stuff.
Okay.
Those are some ways, you know, to just track milestones and know when to act early and when you should be concerned. And it's always a good idea for you as a mom to remember to look at those and celebrate those. So while we're always worried about what our kids are doing, it's also important to just always celebrate all the things they are doing, because you know your kiddo really well.
Yeah, and this is so handy just to have it on my phone. We could do it while we're playing at the park or while he's taking a nap. This is great. I'm going to tell my friends.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm glad that that's really helpful. And, you know, as a provider, what I love is when families share that with me after they've completed it, because then I can I love celebrating things with families. And so I can also then go, sweet, we passed that off. We're doing so awesome on those things. So
That's
any
awesome.
other questions about the Milestone app and how that works?
I don't think so. Thanks for showing it to me today.
Great. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so that's one of the really cool features of the app is that you can use it. Families can download it on their own, or you can also download kids on your app on your phone with with the families that you're using. Like I mentioned, I use it all the time in my home visits, especially as I'm working with families and I'm there for the older sibling and they ask me a question about their newborn or their 3-month-old, I'm able to just say, hey, why don't we just fill this out? Because my brain doesn't shift gears that quickly to say, oh, what should this younger kiddo be doing? Because I'm there for the older sibling. So the other thing is just that they can be used in all areas of early childhood. So in a home visiting, all the materials from CDC help complement and support that developmental screening. Once again, we know that when we do developmental monitoring along with developmental screening, the families seek out the supports and services more frequently. It also gives us a way to guide parents when there's concern about their child's development. In our Child Find, so Part C campaigns, they're a great way. The Milestone Tracker app is a great resource to share with families so that they can monitor their child's development and know when to call us if there is a concern. It helps us track those things and helps us in all situations be able to have those conversations. So even when a child is already getting early intervention services, it's really important to continue to monitor just general development, because we may start having more concerns about the child as we provide services for them. In Early Head Start and Head Start, it just really helps meet that performance standard to complete and support developmental screening. Anytime that we can engage parents in understanding about development helps them be more active in our conversations. It helps them understand what development is and when and why we are concerned about it. Also, using the app helps us increase our knowledge about the signs and potentials of when to be concerned. You know, in my early intervention job, I don't always work with 3-month-olds. They, don't have a huge concern for autism at 3 months old. So I'm a little rusty on that, but as parents continue to ask me about it, I am able to then pull up that app with them and go through some of those milestones. So it always increases our understanding as child development providers as well. In healthcare, ways to encourage that app, doing a printing and hanging and sharing the flyers of the app, asking families to complete that prior to appointments or in between appointments. It follows all of the American Academy of Pediatrics checklists. It's adapted from the American Academy of Pediatrics Bright Futures Progress. And so all of the checklists go along with that. In early care and education, it really just provides that checklist to be able to follow up if there is a concern, or it helps the teachers and parents better understand each of our child's skills. And once again, it just really helps with those conversations when we want to talk about a concern. So there are programs that I've worked with that they complete the checklist with all of their kids at the beginning or anytime there's a birthday. And then they have a great kind of starting point to be able to talk to their families when they have concerns. Do you have anything else to share or ideas?
I would just add, Janelle went over a variety of different early childhood areas that really could benefit from encouraging parents to use this app. We really want you as an early childhood provider to find a way that this really works for you. And I think the features, especially of emailing it to providers, can be really helpful to make the most of your interactions with families. Because if they are focused on development and they're looking for milestones in between your visits or appointments, then the next time they come in, they're going to be ready for that conversation about their child's development. They're hopefully going to be prepared with questions for you as one of their early childhood providers. And it'll just make your interactions and the work that you do with them so much more rich, while empowering the parents and giving them fun things and to look out for in between their work with you. So we just really encourage you to spread the word about this app, as well as all of the other CDC materials available to you, because we really feel like it will be beneficial.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much for your time. And if you haven't done so already, take a minute to download the app and put it on your phone. You will be surprised in how many times it comes. It's useful to have in conversations, especially when everybody knows that you are knowledgeable about child development. They always end up asking you questions about it. So thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.